Hi everyone, welcome to the Digital Fintech Show. Today we have with us Raj, founder and chairman of Zaggle. Zaggle has been a pioneer in the country in terms of both gift cards as well as expense management, and has been innovating a lot in the last few years again. So and Raj personally has been a great friend and highly energetic person. I mean, आप मिलोगे तो खुद ही समझ में आएगा कि you will actually get a different kind of vibes from him. Very positive and very forward looking. So with this, I welcome Raj. Thanks, Raj, for joining us. Welcome on board.
Thank you.
So Raj, before we start, I wanted to know about the journey of Zaggle and the kind of vision with which you started and where are you heading. So overall view on Zaggle, that'd be interesting for our viewers.
Yeah. So, I'll just give you a brief background. Samir, first of all, thank you so much, for having me on this show. It's a real pleasure, to be interacting with you. Okay. So, a little bit journey of Zaggle. Zaggle started as a offshoot of my earlier company called eYantra. eYantra was a merchandising company, and, what we used to do over a, period was into branding and merchandising. Okay. And it was one of the largest, merchandising company out of Asia is what I would say. Okay. And one of the things which we had seen was that there was a lot of demand which was coming for goods other than physical goods. Okay. So people wanted, corporate employees wanted choice. They said, okay, instead of you giving me the same watch, diary, or something like that, is there a possibility that the option of choosing a gift for myself, can you give me something like that, right? And with that, a lot of companies had started moving towards vouchers. Okay, so which was a beautiful thought. And what we realized, way back in 2008, 2009, is that vouchers, gift cards probably would play a much larger role than the corporate merchandising. And that's how the thought of in 2010, the thought of starting a company which was basically a network agnostic company. Okay, where I don't need a network. Okay, or it could be any network. Okay, any network, we should be able to ride on it, is how we started, right? And the three key reasons for starting Zaggle was A, that whichever company we start, scale would be of essence. Okay, so the first thing was that any market we enter into, we should be able to scale it into billions of dollars, was the first idea. The second thing was that it should not be a very mature industry. Okay, so if it is very mature, then there is very less innovation which we can do. The third thing which was again what we thought was that it should be something which probably we have little bit of how do you call, handle on it. Okay, it should not be just a complete blue scape, or or a blue ocean for us. And prepaid gift card actually fell exactly in that space. So what we started as a company which was into prepaid cards. Okay, and and I don't want to take too much of time explaining what we went through, but it was great effort put in at that time. We started the company. The company was formed in 2011. We started the company in 2012. And we started with prepaid cards. First we used to buy from Shopper Stop or some of those companies and sell it to other corporates, which already we were doing in eYantra as well, right? And then for the first time we launched something called a restricted access network card. So the restricted access network card was called BOM. BOM meaning Box Office Movie Bonanza. Okay, that was the card's name. Okay, it was Zaggle's first introduction. We sold tons of those cards to Tech Mahindra, and there is where the journey of Zaggle started.
This is interesting. And then what is the vision now? I mean, this is interesting how you start, from where you started and where you were, and what's the journey ahead.
Correct. So what we look at is that when we started, so prepaid cards, and we always wanted to be in the payment space. Okay, so one clarity which we had found out working with corporates for such a long time, right? It's now nearly about 19 years that we have been working with corporates. What we realized is that the chain is broken. Okay, it is not only broken on the payment side, it is broken on the supply chain side, it is broken on the demand side, it is broken everywhere. And for India, the beauty is that India just missed the web boom. Okay, so India did not go through a web boom, But when it came to mobile, right, India adopted to mobile like nobody's business, right? So what we saw was, where are the opportunities? How do we grow? How do we go deeper? So our three-pronged strategy to any corporate was that we will go and sell first incentive and rewards. Okay, incentive and rewards is like channel incentives is a very, very large program for every corporate which is into sales or has a FMCG or manufacturing goods or every corporate needs incentive and rewards, for their employees as well as for their channel partners. We thought prepaid card, no issues, physical goods are big in nature, while dispatching it, it becomes a problem for them. The guy receives the goods and sees that it is broken, it is a problem. So all of those things, we could remove it by launching a restricted access network card. Okay, and with that is when we started realizing that, okay, and it just it just went berserk. Okay, like it was a real bomb. It did so much of dhamaka, and every corporate to whom we went, if he did not buy day one, he bought on day 10 or day 30 or day 90. But there was never a case when we went to a corporate and they did not buy. But what we realized is that this is discretionary in nature. Okay, like for example, when times are bad, you don't want to incentivize because you don't have money to run your basic stuff, right? So we said, how do we become more and more sticky? हमें चाहिए था hook, and hook by which we are able to see that if the fish comes, it is going to bite that, right? So that is what we wanted. So we said, what is it that which we can do by which we are able to enter into corporate network? So while you are doing incentive rewards, you are dealing with distributors, you are dealing, but you are one step away the corporate workflow, you are still one step away. So we started, something called expense management. Okay. When we started expense management, what we realized was that, okay, oh my God, it was an ocean. The word is like expense management, but it is huge, means huge. Okay. And the kind of innovation which one could do was amazing, means amazing. Okay. Just think about it, right? Today, I have worked for, few corporates. Okay, and while I have to do my T&E, which is my travel and expense, I have to fill up so many forms, this, that, I'll send it, attach bills. Majority of the times, I would miss my bills. And because I have missed my bills, I would not get paid. And then I'll crib that,
I
spend the money and, in fact, they did not do justice, right?
I
So
agree.
it was a big gap. And what we realized is that there were very large companies, doing it, or there were like small companies which were just doing it for the sake of doing it. So we entered that particular field, okay, and started mapping a massive. So we analyzed about close to about 258 companies who are in the expense management. And I'll tell you, Samir, what I'm really proud of, okay, is that the team approached, a team's approach was was an absolute brand new approach. Okay, they went to these popular, sites called G2, Captera, and some of the other sites. Okay, and they looked at the reviews. Okay, and in the reviews where people had said that, I wish, they had mentioned this. I wish if the software had had this particular feature. And we took out all those features, okay, and missed and listed them down, right? So there were overall 13,558 to be precise reviews. So we, to scrape the entire reviews. After doing the entire reviews, we looked at, then bucketed them, okay, where all I could bucket. And from them, we figured out that, there are lots and lots of use cases which India is not addressing, okay, which are probably globe is not addressing, nobody is addressing, right? And we created our software based on that research, those data insights, and looking at that, on a day-to-day basis, how useful this would be, right? Those workflows were created. So then we got into corporates, and it has been, touchwood, it has been a huge success. A lot of large companies are using it. A lot of small companies are also using it, because it's a very, very simple process, and you pay as you start using features. So it is like, the primary phase is free. The second is that, okay, you use some more features, you have to pay more, and like that, right? And then, the last degree is customization. Now, what happened with this is that we have entered into the corporate workflow. Okay. Now, when they post their entry into the accounting system, now we know that, okay, we have a hook, which is the accounting piece. The second is the hook that we have the employee piece, right? So now we become the bridge between them. Now we are thinking, what else can we do, right? Similarly, we looked at, okay, how is a brand communicating, with its distributors, okay, for very, very large, tire companies, or, take accessories company, automotive companies, take, for that matter, FMCG companies, okay, how are they communicating with their, distributors? So, we सब लोग क्या करते हैं, whenever they have to increase their numbers, they, at the end of the month, they send excess stock. And then they say, we will manage, don't worry, the distributor, is pounded with extra inventory, which he knows that he cannot sell because utna demand nahi hai usko. He knows his demand, right? What does he do? And, they are like, if you really ask me, they are the disturbed a lot, okay? And they are getting disturbed because they have A, no access to immediate cash. B, they have an inventory, piled up. C, they don't have systems to tell them that, how much money is stuck where, and, what kind of inventory if they liquidate, how will their cash flow look like? So, we realize that in SME, profits तो बाद की चीज है, सबसे important चीज is cash flow, right? अगर cash flow नहीं पता चल रहा है, तो profits तो मालूम नहीं कहाँ पता चलेंगे, right? And then banking is so opaque, आज मतलब इतने फॉर्म वो भरवा लेते हैं कि पता नहीं चलता है कि भी कैसे. So then we realize that the space. So, from a prepaid card entry into, an expense management system, to something like, changing the way banking happens, okay, is how, we are progressing. And this is an ocean. That is why we are called Zaggle Prepaid Ocean. Now, prepaid हटा के हमें fintech ocean डालना पड़ेगा वहाँ पे.
No, in fact, हमारा भी motto वही है कि we'll change the way money moves, right? So it can be lending, payments, whatever it is. So this is good. This is good. So you have recently partnered with Visa as well for simplifying payments for startups and founders. So what is the vision behind it? What exactly are you planning to do?
Yeah, so, I have to first say that, Visa has been a great supporter. Okay, so our first card was launched with Visa, about 8 years back. And Visa said that, they are doing it for the first time. They have not heard of, such a possible, that, because it was like where, Visa works everywhere. And we wanted to do restricted access network. So they said, we are doing it for the first time with you. And it has been a great journey with them, and it has been, how do I tell you, they have been great support. They have been helping us, every now and then. And one of the, key reasons of, tying up with them, was like twofold. One was that our launch of Founders Card. The Founders Card is again at that problem of that distributor. Okay, who's a founder of a SME business, right? What is he looking at? He is looking at an ability, to be able to tap into money as and when he requires. What is he looking at? Looking at that, end of the day, this is what I sold, this is what I, bought, this is what the, profit I have made, this much money is lying in, these kind of bank accounts. He wants a dashboard. Abhi, businessman ke paas itna time nahi hota hai ki that he looks after business, he looks after accounting, he looks after all of this. But typically in India, one has to do that because, the systems are not there. Right? And agar systems ho and, approachability ho and, with the data, connectivity, mobile, all three improving, India is a great place, like, in coming maybe next 2 decades, I think the developed nation would come and learn from us how to build use cases. और वो use cases ले जाके अपनी country में use करेंगे. So, what I very honestly believe. So so this is where the distribution piece, and we wanted to launch, a card which was basically aimed at founders of, SME, where, small and medium enterprises, where we give them host of benefits. Okay. And those benefits are such which are meant for the founder. Okay. Founder has a particular ego. Okay. As a businessman, everybody thinks, yaar, mera apna business hai, I have built something like this, right? So usko kya chahiye? So right from, like if he travels, so, airport lounge access to, rewards on the, various hosting sites to, XYZ, to restaurant discounts to, blind blah, and go, on and on and on. Plus, a reward system which is personalized to that particular founder. So उनका रिवॉर्ड आज आप कोई बैंक ले लीजिए, कोई सिस्टम ले लीजिए, कहीं पे कोई ब्रांड ले लीजिए, किसी का भी रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम is not transparent. उनका पूरा सिस्टम is opaque. They give you some story, there's some balance sheet sometimes are run on those reward points. अगर reward points ज़्यादा use हो गए तो actually net profit down हो जाता है. So like this, but we want to do a absolute transparent reward system, which is one of its kind, right? So looking at that founder, and what really helped us is that with Visa's stamp of approval on it, it gives us a great push, to do multifold things with the SME entrepreneurs.
नहीं आपको बात सही है क्योंकि मतलब it's so frustrating that I mean on every alternate Saturday me and my co-founders shut business for at least 5 hours to ensure that we are aware of receivables, payables.
Yes.
I have so many overheads and accounting and I think some of them are really automated stuff which we can do, right, which is not available. I think it's a good initiative. I think the country needs the banking revised and completely built from the customer side. So completely with you. So I think on other side, Raj, you have been very supportive of the early stage entrepreneurs. You've been working with them. So what are your thought process around how they can approach you? What are the areas where these startups and maybe lenders, anybody else can collaborate with you?
Sure. So I'll just tell you from a personal example. Okay. So I'm touching 49. So one of in our times.
I'm also touching 49. So we are in the same age group, exactly the same age group.
Cheers to us. Okay, and the beauty was, when we wanted to start business, the one thing which we heard, and I'll tell you a real life example. I was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers in the US, and working for PwC, I told my dad that I want to keep the job and come back to India and start a business. My dad, was like shocked. He said, "What are you saying? Your kind of salary which you get, in fact, 10 people combined together won't be able to get that salary. You can't just kick this, right? No way are you going to, leave the job." So from that stage to today, where entrepreneurship is celebrated, it's a long journey. It's a very, very long journey, right? So today it is no longer abused. Earlier, businessman matlab chor. Today that philosophy has changed because we think that the kind of business the Indian entrepreneurs have built. Look at last 25-30 years. And I would say right from the stage when Mr. Narayana Murthy started building, or Mr. Shivnadar started building HCL. From there it has slightly improved, right? So today to a stage where entrepreneurship is being celebrated. See, while entrepreneurship is being celebrated, failure in entrepreneurship is still not celebrated. So please mind my words, okay? India still looks at winners is not very charitable, when they see that an entrepreneur has, lost his business, right? We should celebrate failures because from those failures would come, a huge success. For every billion-dollar company, there has to be thousands of million-dollar companies who have to give ahuti for $1 billion to come in, right? So that is how life is, and that is how I think it would be. So the way, I realized very early, and, the first startup which I started a company way back in, 94. Okay, I was still doing my, MBA. I quickly bootstrapped it, built it, sold it successfully. I made money, and from there is where I went to, to Stern School in the US to do my MBA. Okay, and I understood entrepreneurship very, very well. Though my elder brother is a very senior civil services officer. My dad is was a doctorate, double PhD in economics, and was secretary to Government of India. But I was the guy who wanted to look at entrepreneurship because my mother's side, were all into business. So the only thing they knew was business, and that's what probably my summer holidays kicked me to do. So what I'm saying is that if you look at entrepreneurs today, right, what do they need, right? एक सपोर्ट सिस्टम चाहिए, एक हौसला चाहिए कि भाई अगर कुछ हुआ तो हम आपके साथ हैं, right? And that kind of hौसला giving is not happening, was not happening. Okay, so what I realized is, what I promised myself is that if any entrepreneur comes to me for any help, okay, which is possibly, sometimes monetary help is not possible, because of, given conditions, but majority of times I even support monetary help, right? But other than that, I'll go all out, spend, whatever time they want, and ensure whatever support is required, I'll give them that, right? And with my special focus and interest, in fintech, okay, so we are looking at companies who are disruptors, okay, who don't think the same way as, matlab wohi same chal dhal is not what we are looking at. We're looking at people who are on the ground, who are listening to the customer, who is understanding the pain points. They think that they have a solution. They think, possibly if not today, tomorrow it would be successful. We are looking at, backing those people. Zaggle as a company, me as an individual, okay, along with our MD Avinash, we are always spotting opportunities here, there, everywhere, and looking to help them in terms of, they scaling their business. So some of the mistakes which we did, we don't want them to make, right? And how would that happen is by interaction, by showcasing to them as to what we have done, how we have done, and also and at the same time, right, with this interaction, with free flow of, interaction, what would happen is new ideas will emerge.
I agree.
The new ideas is what, India needs. Ye desh, naya desh, hamara Bharat desh is how we have to call it, right? And we have to call it a new desh because, Atmanirbhar ka jo ye pura concept hai, okay? It is a long way. Saying and, thumping the chest is one thing, but actually executing it on the ground, okay, is not easy at all. And it will not be achieved by one or two people. It has to be done by all of us, together. So in our quest to become Atmanirbhar, what we want to do is support a lot of companies, who are building solutions on the corporate side, who are building solutions where they're able to solve the problem, whether it is billing, whether it is invoicing, whether it is reconciliation, whether it is payments, whether it is supply chain, whether it is, CRM, whichever side, okay, is our focus. Our focus is corporate. See, we deal, with, B2B is what, we focus on. And anybody building a solution out there is, we are saying we would go out of our way to help and also seek help.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. So last, we run this event called Fintech Bazaar, where we get startups talking to larger entities, including people like you, on one-on-one meetings, and you have been supportive of that. So you helped us in the last one as well. So how was your journey in that event, and why did you support, and what was the gain you got out of that?
See, what we, Samir, one first thing is I have to congratulate you, right? The reason is that you thought of something called Fintech Bazaar. So what is Fintech Bazaar? If you ask me, you may have a definite, you are the founder, so you may have a definition, you may have a thought, may have an idea as to what it is. But, for me, what it is, it's a platform for people to connect. Okay. So connect on what subjects is fintech. Okay. Is what I principally feel. As Facebook says that it is a connector of social, I would say Fintech Bazaar is a connector of fintech looking opportunities, okay, or fintech related opportunities for entrepreneurs, for professionals, for large institutions, for small institutions, for anybody. And this was long required. I don't know, aap itne din kahan the? If you would have been there earlier, it would have been nice.
Thank you.
Because what India really requires is a very focused approach. आत्मनिर्भर बनना है तो फोकस होना बहुत जरूरी है, और फोकस के साथ एग्जीक्यूशन, ओके, laser focused execution is what we require. And what I really liked, okay, in Fintech Bazaar was the ability to get very good startups on one side and to get phenomenal brands, okay, those are big daddies of, I would say, the fintech world on the other side, and acting as a seamless connector, okay, because see, you have been a CTO of a bank, you understand what challenges one goes through, right? So my learning was phenomenal, okay, and and I am very proud to say that we at least 4 partnerships we were able to sign up, or in the process of sign up is how we were able to do. And, those people we had never heard of. So do we call Fintech Bazaar a discovery platform? Do we call, Fintech Bazaar a matchmaking platform? Do we call Fintech Bazaar, like a growing business, platform where ideas are, bred? I don't know. The answer will come in the coming times, but to me, it looks like all three in one.
I'll give you the genesis of Bazaar. So हुआ क्या कि as CTO or a head of any business, you go to any event and people chase you, right? And you are on the panel and you're talking and you want to meet entrepreneurs, but you get chased away because there's no structure to it. And I realized that all the events are primarily sponsored to have one-on-one meetings.
Correct.
Rest all is just a shosha, right? Saying
Yes.
all the panels are to ensure that okay, people are engaged. By in the background you have events.
Correct.
So I thought maybe we'll remove the entire paraphernalia and we focus only on the activity, which is one-on-one meeting, which is
Correct.
where the sort of, and I wanted to ensure that we don't do a demo day kind of thing
Correct.
because
Right.
you have a leakage of IP there, right? So
Yes.
that
Yes.
was the,
No, very, very important. Very, very important. Yes.
thank you. Thank you. In fact, any inputs you want to give how we can improve because the next event is just coming up. Anything which we can do to improve?
Yeah, I think it is very, very well planned, right? And if it is planned well, then the only thing remains is execution. Okay. So the whole idea is that we keep it more and more fintech focused. Okay. And also get some of those leaders, some of those guys who have from banks, could be from financial institutions, from regtech, from fintech, from some of those players, and maybe 10 minutes we give them to give their thoughts about various things, okay, various concepts. While we do one to one, we just give it a break for like 10 minutes to hear to some of those legendary people who have helped build the India financial system.
No, I agree. I agree. Good point. I think we'll try to do that this time. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So I think from a market perspective, there's a lot of change which has happened in the ecosystem, right? And I won't term it negatively, but I think there are opportunities coming because
Yeah.
of COVID-related challenges, right? Uh, and I think while we have project company human ways, we always say there's a COVID positive. It's a negative term saying you're ill, right? But I think business-wise, it can be COVID positive. Those who have basically benefited a lot because of COVID, and again, in terms of the business model, which are largely digital by nature. So, any thoughts on what has changed the market and what should people be doing in this era?
So you see, I think I would remain myself very. I'll keep myself very specific to fintech, okay? Because for a lot of other people, it was a very it was a very painful journey. But for fintech industry, it was a huge thumbs up. I think how people said demonetization, right? Which basically demonetization had a different connotation to it, okay? I think this was Demon 2 for us, okay, for fintech. Okay, specifically, being selfish and saying that this was very, very good for us in terms of business. What happened is, with this non-contact, or let's say, you did not want to touch anything because the issue was that it possibly is a carrier, right? So it gave a huge, huge push to anything which was digital in nature, right? And fintech, our payments being digital in nature, we were, so one good thing with us personally, what happened with Zaggle was that we had something called a virtual card which was in works for a long time, right? And when we were pushing that virtual card, because we wanted to reduce the cost of a physical card, envelope, dispatching, all of that, and people were still saying "ठीक है, देखेंगे types," because they still want to feel the card, see the card, right? When this happened, right, we got so much demand from corporate saying, can you make this card virtual? Is it possible that I can just transact it, virtually? I said, okay, so, you would be able to do it online, but offline, how would you do it, right? So people said, okay. And then, we very quickly entered into some partnership with, the POS devices and
Correct.
said, okay, you can accept this. So overall for the industry, okay, for the fintech industry, it was a huge Yahoo movement, is how I would say, right? And what it has done is it has given birth to thousands of entrepreneurs who have started thinking that what can we do digital, right? And today, look at it, Samir, this interview which we are doing today on Zoom, 6 months back, ideally would have said, let's meet in the office and shoot it, right?
I,
Today is
and
today.
that also with some expensive equipment and this and lighting and all, right? This is simple.
Yes, yes. So this is a disruptor, okay? And disruption is not a negative word. Disruption sometimes, is a very, very positive word, right? So there was a theory of Joseph Schumpeter, okay? And Joseph Schumpeter used to, talk about, how to creatively destruct things, okay? So that a new thing will come up, okay? And what has happened is that, this theory of, creatively destructing something, right, has been done, okay? This has been done. And what we are learning from it is that we have got the ability to adapt, okay? So we have got huge ability to adapt, to the change, which is making, the Indian market one of the most admired markets, because the change was seamless, absolutely seamless. And that seamless is, because of, all of us who are working in this fintech industry, to make it more and more seamless and less painful. This is how I would say a movement for us. It's a Yahoo movement, and it is a movement of, that theory of creative destruction, by Joseph Schumpeter is, he wrote it like 40, 50, 60 years back, but, it was, it is more truer today than at any time.
Hopefully this whole chain of digital will obviously sort of help life of people as well, because with so much of transaction happening on digital, credit will also start flowing on the same railroads. I think that's what the power is.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so I think before we close, maybe one or two points. So how can ecosystem help the fintechs, right? So they are always considered the I don't know, paria or something like that. That these are the fintechs, right? So any views on how ecosystem can help fintechs grow?
Sure. So, see, I have I typically refrain from, making any outlandish comments, but, I think it's high time that it is the due for fintechs, okay? The due, that you have to recognize fintechs, okay? As companies who are bringing about a change which would shape the world, in the coming decades, has to be acknowledged, okay? No longer you can say that, this is my apna beta, this is a, sautela beta or paraya beta. That cannot work today, right? Somewhere, the government agencies, the best, and, the think tanks out there have to say that, who is bringing in all this innovation, right? This innovation is being, brought into the country by these entrepreneurs, right?
I
And why
agree.
are you not supporting these entrepreneurs, when they are talking fintech, when they're talking, like a very different kind of, platforms which are making life easier, right? You do your checks and balances. I absolutely agree. Okay, I'll not talk about, a currency switch as, as we had seen by Bitcoin and other stuff, but I definitely feel that, okay, maybe India may not be ready because of, the such a large population and the possibility of a large scale fraud happening. But other than that, what I really feel is that fintech, should somewhere deserve, either we create a new ministry called fintech ministry, okay, and say that, open regulation is, much better than closed regulation, okay. The third thing is also that, somewhere that, that connection between RBI, bank, and, fintechs and NBFCs somewhere has to be stuck a little bit more closely, has to be staged, little bit better, so that we are able to extract the best, right? It is, see, if you press, a nut, the oil comes only at a certain pressure. It is not that you just press it and the oil will come. So that particular pressure is the point, which has to be measured and said that, okay, this is the kind of arrangement we will have, with fintechs, and this is how we will do it. So I have to compliment, RBI has been amazingly fast in launching the AA network, plus the think tanks, talking about Sahay, etc. All this is great. I'm saying just give them a little bit more due, because what they are trying to do is to help people's life, become better. Today, just getting a loan, the kind of paperwork which you have to, fill up, and the number of signs which you have to make, and I'll promise you, the first sign and the last sign of a loan document will never match. Trust me, right? For all you want that, that we want this one, we want, somewhere
Like
we
this and like this and like this.
all will be there. So, the question is, what is the point, right? The point is that, you just want that this is the same person, create that digitization. Digitization is here. The best brains in the world are working today for the world. Vaccine, if you look at it, I'm, digressing a bit, but, entire world is saying demand for the vaccine would be fulfilled by a nation called India.
I agree.
That is why you see pharma stocks running, all the way up. Okay, so please bring in the same kind of euphoria, to the fintech. Start believing the fintech industry. Want to put in, some framework, some structure, good, but give them the rails on which they can run. Do not put just the banks, on that rail, and ask these guys, to be the Jesse Owens of the world.
I agree. I agree. And maybe just I know we have stretched the time, but last question: इतना energy आती कहाँ से?
No, I am I am a consummate, I am a passionate guy. I just love fintech. I love, to create new, and, I love in the theory of creative destruction. I love the theory, there is another theory called Heckscher-Ohlins theory, which is theory of competitive advantage. Okay, just keep doing what you are doing, just keep doing it better and better, better and better. And that's what India needs, that, we need a focused execution. And that's why I say, events like Fintech Bazaar are a must, And, if you don't hold it too often, you should be punished, penalized by the government, saying that you're not doing enough for the industry. That's how I would put it. And I just love, being in business. I think for me, I don't see anything, I don't feel anything unless and until I see business.
Thank you, Raj. बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला, and again, a lot of ideas are radical, which is good. It helps the ecosystem to grow and change. So super stuff, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj.
Pleasure.